Everybody, we're here. We're here. Yeah, we're gonna break this down. We're gonna see what we can come up with together. That's right. We want to see what we can come up with together because I was looking at the word blue, and we were talking about it yesterday in the live about the names of things in the matrix and how a lot of people use the word blue in a lot of things, and we know that the matrix does not use words accidentally. There's always a hidden message, and I have one idea, so I want to run it by y'all. As those notifications go out, y'all get that and join us for this intriguing Let's Just Chat. I am Michelle Dickey, your host for CHA's Let's Just Chat show, streaming on the YouTube channel Narcissism and Cognitive Dissonance, where trauma healing and spiritual growth are front and center while combating radio frequencies for healthier living. Ooh, and we are doing it. That's right. We just did the, it's a no-bake protein, peanut butter protein snack for you all. I did a short free version, and it's right here on this YouTube channel in the playlist, Patreon membership previews. Okay, Patreon membership channel previews. So you can catch it there along with some other great things, and we'll go deeper on the Patreon channel with all of this stuff, making more real world connection to the spiritual realm. So while those are going out, let me go ahead and check everything. I know that, yes, we're very aware of it. Narcissists trying to instill false hope. We know, we see them, and we're not falling for it. No, because we believe in miracles, because God is a miracle worker. Absolutely. And we wouldn't have it any other way. So, and we're not falling for it. There we go. I had the volume already up. That answers my question there. All right, I know that it is Zap Day. Yeah, it is Zap Day, but we get around that resistance. And so while everybody's coming on in, go ahead and let y'all know that we were talking about, let me put this over here. We were talking about why so many things in the matrix include the word blue. And I said, well, we alluded to it yesterday, how in psychology said that the color blue represents calm. So I said, okay, I get that. But when we learn about the matrix and its lies and deceit and all of that, we come to understand that the matrix does not use words, again, accidentally. There's always a hidden message in the words that they use. So whenever you see words like blue all the time, or somebody who named their rocket blue something or other, or you have, you've got Blue Lagoon, you've got the songs, you've got poems, you've got the color blue. The word blue is used in different contexts, of course. And so what does it stand for, though? I mean, we have heard that the English language is full of spells. Well, yeah, because BLUE spells blue. Duh. Okay. Now, I kid you not. I went there. Anyhow, so do I believe that the English language is full of, like, spells that have to do with witchcraft? Some to an extent, but not all. Okay, not all. That's why we do have to be mindful what we speak and make sure that we speak life over ourselves, because the power of life and death is in the tongue, yes. But the English language, or any language, can be full of spells because, well, again, BLUE spell the word blue. But what's the hidden message behind blue, according to the matrix? Well, when you think about narcissism, you think about narcissism, and you know that narcissism is evil, right? It is the very evil that we are battling against, right? Alongside the radio frequency poisoning. But At that, that's a whole nother side. The word, Project Bluebeam is included in the radio frequency arena, but what's the hidden message? So when you take into account, words associated with narcissism, and the fact that these narcissists, toddlers in adult bodies, and how the devil likes to make himself appear larger than he really is. So you think about words that would, describe an evil or something being done that is evil. And so we know that narcissism, full of deception, full of lies. So when examining the letter B, what I came up with, I want y'all to join in, okay? Put it in the comments on the replay too. There could be multiple different hidden messages. Ooh, ding, 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 ding. See, that's why we got to think outside the box. All right, chosen ones, we got to think outside the box. So when you think of the word blue, all right, here's what comes to mind first when I am taking it in as part of the game of narcissism, being evil, all these false narratives being overblown, things, wanting to appear larger than they really are, all that stuff, right? And how everything to a narcissist is a big deal, right? Yeah, everything to a toddler in an adult body is a big deal. And so you think of the letter B, the word big comes to mind. Even though, that's right, even though the matrix is not as big as it wants you to think, because the devil is not as large as he wants you to think he is, okay? Remember, the devil is just a little toddler like the toddlers in an adult body. So nothing to fear, nothing to be afraid of. Because like I say often, y'all have got to understand that all he has is head games. He's just trying to he's just trying to psych you out. Trying to get you to go crazy mentally like the narcissist. And so, but for chosen ones, because we have our self-thinking ability and we know how to get around the resistance, we start to see the patterns. We're like, oh, that again. Okay, yeah, and so we don't let it get to us. Okay, because we've got the power and authority on the inside of us from God to not allow it to. And we keep on keeping on. And so for the letter B, I came up with big. And so now, when you look at the letter L, I want y'all seriously share it in the comments below, even on the replay. Share it in the comments. What comes to your mind when you think about the narcissistic matrix and all of the lies and the game of narcissism and the red flags of narcissists and how evil it is. So when you look at the letter L, well, lies. That's what came to mind for me. So you have B, big, you have L, lies. Because what do the narcissists do? They lie all the time. The devil is a liar. So we have big lies, yes, plural. And now we have the letter U. Well, we know that God is a God of unity. But when it comes to the game of narcissism, and you see how, well, okay, for those of you who have experienced game stalking, you know what I'm talking about. Now, yeah, that's narcissism in action. So when you think about how narcissists, they unite and come up against the chosen one, right? The scapegoat. Yeah, how narcissists will, they'll form an alliance, if you will, even if they don't like each other, which they typically don't, but they will unite in their whatever it is. Like there's 5 of them, and they'll and they'll defend one another, and to buck up against their target, right? Yeah. So even though it's not the kind of unity that, yes, you are very welcome. Thank you for joining us, Javon. I appreciate it. All right. Yes, you're very welcome. Getting up here and going live as much as possible. That was a goal of mine. Oh my gosh. Not too long after I started going live, I said, I got to do more of these at some point. And so, yeah, because it's important. Authenticity in real time. And then, of course, on the replay, the value is still there. But narcissists, they unite. Okay? Because they need to give off that appearance that they're a team when they're really not. See, narcissists, they think that there's an I in the word team. And so we might break that down. Okay, remember every word. Okay, every word that's used frequently inside the narcissistic matrix, like team. Okay, there's a hidden message to that. But right now, let's stick with the word blue. Okay, the word blue, because it came up in yesterday's live. And it's a very good question, because you do see a lot of people using this word in naming things and song titles, even poems. And we know it's a color, and we know that in psychology, the color blue represents calm. So I wanted to repeat that for those of you who are just now coming in. And so just know that we came up for the letter B, we come up with big, and the letter L, lies. And so we just talked about unite, because narcissists, for the letter U, because the narcissists do unite. Now, you're going to like this, y'all. You're going to like this, because it fits right into the game of narcissism. And I think it's just one of many hidden messages behind the word blue. That's why I'm asking y'all to participate. If you can come up with something for each letter, but it's going to have to spell out a message. It's going to have to be a phrase, and it's going to have to make sense. So now you have, for the letter U, unite. So you have big lies, unite. And then for the letter E, well, what is narcissism? Evil. What are narcissists? Pure evil. So narcissists do what? To buck up against their target and chosen one, or anyone that goes against their long-held beliefs, what have you, right? Just as one of many examples, right? They're evil and they're uniting. So we have big lies unite evil. There you go. That spells out the game of narcissism right there. So for the word blue, we have big lies unite evil. So again, I want y'all to share some additional examples. I mean, that is just what came to mind right offhand. I was like, okay, because you think about narcissism and evil and the narcissist and what they do, and how the matrix is full of lies, and because we've been lied to since birth about almost everything. And so we have to purge that subconscious mind, right? And so I know you're like, wait a minute, that's really simple. Big lies unite evil. And that spells out the word blue. So blue is not just the color or a word. It's also described as feeling blue. Yeah, like feeling down and out, I know there's a lot of songs in jazz music, okay, that uses the word blue. And then you also have things like blue moon, stuff like that. But when you break it down, what's the hidden message behind the word blue? Because again, nothing that is spelled out in the matrix, okay, in any language for that matter, it's an acronym for a hidden message. Even though it's a word, and it's like, okay, it describes this, and it describes a feeling, okay, it describes that, but it also makes sense for the game of narcissism for the word blue to have the hidden message of big lies unite evil, because that's exactly what they do. Big lies. But what do narcissists do? Exactly, their lives are so out there sometimes that you're like, come on now, really? And I know that many of us, before we knew what we were dealing with, that was one of our first reactions, but we ignored it because, well, we didn't know anything else at the time. right? We didn't know that they were a narcissist. We didn't know they were just, telling a story. We didn't know that we were like, it did sound a bit outlandish. Yeah. And we're like, okay, hold on a minute. And later on, we learned that they do a lot of embellishing, right? Making it look bigger than it really is. They want you to think, the narcissist wants you to think that their story is so humongous because in their eyes, they think of themselves as being bigger than they really are. So that means they perceive other things in this world as being bigger than they actually are. So, of course, that's why the letter B for the word blue, big, because it fits with the narcissistic matrix. And so, big lies unite evil, because they do. Narcissists will unite together. Narcissists are evil. The game of narcissism, it's evil. Narcissism is evil. And so all of those big lies out there, right? It unites evil. Yeah. Think of when you think of the, I call it the P matrix. Big lies unite evil there. Exactly. While dividing the people. Remember, y'all, the devil is all about division. God is about unity. And when I use the word unite in this context for blues, the word blue hidden message, it's simply because they come together. Narcissists will come together in an attempt to try and take down a chosen one. They want to intimidate God's chosen one. Yeah, they love that intimidation tactic. And so that's a big reason why they do too. But their lies unite each other. They're big lies. So the big lies in the narcissistic matrix, the big lies on the world stage, keep the narcissist united. And the narcissists are evil. Woo! So again, y'all, if you come up with something, drop it in the comments below. Drop it in the comments below. Because I know there's got to be more than one hidden message behind the word blue. And so that's the thing. And you can kind of say that narcissists are always kind of blue. They're all full of doom and gloom, right? They always have this doom and gloom about them. And it's always something. It is always something with them. It's really amazing to witness more and more as we observe more and speak less out here, because it's like, man, oh man, oh man. And yes, by the way, for anybody who's been following us since we've been here in this location, I have now spotted 2 monitoring spirits. Yeah, the other day I said we've spotted 1, so now I have spotted 2. And, those get easier to spot as well. And so I want y'all to remember that. I just put a thing out on TikTok reminding everybody that monitoring spirit, they are narcissists, but they can be complete strangers, people you've never met before in your entire life. Because Jezebel spirits pass the baton in the spiritual. So you got to be mindful of that. And take heed. Don't be afraid. Certainly not. Don't walk on eggshell. But if you notice somebody watching you a lot, for no reason, that's pretty clear. Okay, if they're not studying you, see, there's a difference, y'all. When narcissists are just monitoring spirit versus when they are studying you. Let's talk about that. Okay, get into a little bit of and more now. When narcissists, are monitoring, when they are doing the monitoring spirit thing, they're on assignment from the devil. They are a monitoring spirit. They are basically just watching to see if you, they basically what they did is they pulled a shenanigan. Yeah. And they're waiting to see if you are going to step out of character. So they're just watching you. They're hanging out. Let's say you're at a hotel and you see them very rarely, but on a particular day they tend to be hanging out on the side of the hotel, mostly where your room is located. And you catch them every once in a while even out of your peripheral, they watching you. You're like, why they watch? Oh. And so, yeah, it just means they pulled some sort of stunt and they're waiting to see if you, well, of course, yours truly caught on to it because patterns tell a story. And it's the same pattern, that same type of shenanigan from the previous place I was residing at. Yes, same old, nothing new under the sun. We get around that resistance. Oh, yeah. So, no, I'm not stepping out of character because I see it for what it is. And it's not the first time they pulled that. It's just that previously, it didn't get me out of character, but I didn't know yet what the tactic was. I do now. See, that's the thing. They don't realize is that we pay attention to these patterns and we know ourselves. And so it's like, yeah, I know I didn't mess with that. I did not mess with that temperature control. No, I did not touch that. Who did? Okay. So, right, somebody that has access. Like maintenance, perhaps. Okay, so, ding, 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 ding. Well, if you see that, okay, even in your own home, in your neighborhood, if you see somebody all of a sudden just like hanging around watching your almost every move for like maybe a day and they typically would not be doing that, that's a surefire sign that, well, you know, y'all know I'm not a big fan of the sign word, but that's a pretty good indicator then, okay, that they're a monitoring spirit. Yes, right there in your own neighborhood. It could be somebody that you've seen, you know they live in the neighborhood, but they come and go, typically. But on a particular day, let's say you're out mowing the grass or what have you, and they just, yeah. And you can see them awkwardly hanging around. And they normally don't do that. So, yeah, like, because eventually they tell on themselves like that. See, narcissists will always tell on themselves. You just got to give it a little time. So if there's a monitoring spirit, eventually it will be revealed. You just have to know what to look for. And that's why I tell y'all often, don't ignore patterns. I don't care. When you go for, because the devil has no new trick. So when you recognize a pattern of something, patterns of behavior especially, and then the patterns of shenanigans that they pull, and when you understand radio frequency poisoning and you know that all they're trying to do is psych you out, they're trying to play a head game because the devil's just trying to get in your finances, you know that. You're like, okay, I can get around that resistance. That ain't no big deal, because remember, when the devil sees that you're healing, he gonna try to distract. He gonna try to interfere, but he ain't got nothing new. There you go. So it gets easier and easier to get around that resistance when you can see through them. And you don't let it trick you into stepping out of character, but you'll know them by their fruits. So if they're hanging around all of a sudden, they're not usually hanging around there like that. Well, that's their fruit. Their behavior is their fruit. So you know them by their fruits. That's a monitoring spirit. And so where I like, you know, there's several different places I'll go for a walk, but there's one place in particular I had picked up on it. I shared a little bit about this with y'all. I'm gonna bring it back, but I got confirmation today that he is also a monitoring spirit. Yes, the one that was telling me some story about working a double and things like that, and then just me seeing, just seeing what I was seeing. I said, something's just not adding up here. Something's not adding up, and whether or not he's telling the truth doesn't matter. But he had made it an effort to remember my name. And when I say an effort, yeah, why do you have to make such an effort to remember my name? Not everybody's good with names. I get that. Okay, yours truly even, it takes a little while. Faces, I'll remember faces before I will names sometimes. It just depends. But yeah, I identified that he is a narcissist. And I said, oh boy, well, he's a monitoring spirit. Mm-hmm. Yep. Because of the fact that he basically was trying to figure out if I was camping or staying in a hotel. And that's what kind of, yeah, that was a red flag for me. That was a red flag. So I didn't ignore it. And sure enough, it's only been a couple of weeks, if that. But I got confirmation today. He is a monitoring spirit. So I said, okay, there's two. There's two. So don't ignore that. And listen, some monitoring spirits like that one will be nice to you to your face. They'll say hi and all that. Be polite, but keep it moving. Okay, be polite and keep it moving. And don't ignore. I mean, because, yeah, I mean, it's just, you know, no, it's not a small world after all. No, that song is a spell, by the way. But no, it's not. And so I was like, okay, because, you know, the devil's not omnipresent. So he's got to send monitoring spirits across our path just to check on us and see how we doing. Yeah, because the devil wants to see if his tactics are still working like they used to work in the past. Never forget, I teach this often because it's true. The devil and the narcissist, they live in the past. They're stuck on repeat. It's the same old, same old, same old every single day. Each and every single day. It's the same old, same old, same old. Right? And nothing new under the sun. And so they're always going to try the same tactic that used to work in the past. And so this is why we've got to be vigilant and aware and be able to pick up on when they are a monitoring spirit so that we don't get sucked into their web of deceit. And so the fact that I have already had short conversation with that one, you know how a narcissist thinks. Oh, okay, well, because of the demon of assumption, they assume just because we had some conversation with them at some point, testing the spirit by the spirit, not really divulging anything personal or nothing like that, but a narcissist would think that they've got an acquaintance or a way in because of that. And that's why they get it wrong every time. And so it's intriguing. But what do you do after that? And they cross your path again. Let's say, yeah, getting in the elevator at the hotel you're staying at. And they say hi to you. Well, you acknowledge them. You know, acknowledge them. But don't stand there and have another conversation with them. You know, be polite, but keep it moving. See, that's what I tell y'all. You know, it's like, be polite, keep it moving. Be polite and keep it moving. I want y'all to drop that in the comments below. Keep it moving. Yeah, keep it moving. See, when I tell y'all God is a forward-moving God, that's part of what I mean by that. You keep it moving. Because you don't allow them to suck you back into another conversation. Once you've identified, oh, hold on a second, they are monitoring spirit. I ain't got time for that. Okay, ain't got time for that. So there you go. Keep it moving. Amen. That's what it's all about. You got to keep it moving. And so it's like, and they might take it as you being rude, but they don't realize that, no, you ain't being rude. You can say hello, have a nice day, but you keep it moving. And they'll interpret that as a cold shoulder. And it's not a cold shoulder. It's just hey, we've identified a monitoring spirit. We've identified a narcissist. And we are obeying God when God said, be not partakers with them. God is the author of no contact. God said, be not partakers with the wicked. I'm paraphrasing, but y'all know what I mean. And that's what he's talking about. Once we have identified that they are not on Team Godhead, that they are a narcissist, they are an evildoer. Once we've identified that, we're not to be partakers. Don't allow them to suck us into another conversation. Don't, nothing. And we don't ignore little things like that anymore. It's like, why you want to know Why you want to know if I'm camping or staying in a hotel? Why would a stranger want to know that? That's what I'm saying. That boom, red flag. So, no, I didn't forget. And so it's just a matter of time before I got the confirmation. So, yeah, by always making that effort to remember my name. He did that several times. And I'm like, okay, hold on a second. Apparently you remember my name. So it's like, I don't know if he's trying to make sure that it was still me. I mean, whatever. Yeah. It's like, you know how narcissists play dumb? Well, I think that's a big part of it right there, is trying to play dumb. And I'm like, okay, no, not gonna work. Not gonna work. I see it. We see it. And so we don't ignore that. And we don't give them the attention that they're seeking. So it doesn't matter what they're doing in your neighborhood. Okay, it doesn't matter. They are monitoring spirit. And I was like, okay. So we just have to be mindful of that. Not walking on eggshell, but just know that, oh, okay. And so what do we do when we start to see several monitoring spirit in a particular location? Yep, we got to switch it up. Yep, we got to switch it up. And so, yep, God got a plan. Listen, God always got a plan. This is why I tell y'all that when the time comes, and once God gets us ready, we got to stay ready. Okay? Yeah. And he ain't playing. Okay? You know, God's not playing with his chosen one. So when he tells us to do something, we got to stay ready. And so that's what we're doing. We just got to stay ready. And a big part of that is, you know, we keep some things that we're not using on a daily basis, we keep them packed. That's all I'm going to say about that. So, yeah, just stay ready. Because when there starts to become too many monitoring spirits in a location, then we got to switch it up. And the only reason there would be more than one or two, the only reason there might be is if we're still healing. Because the devil can see bruises because of LED light. And the demon spirits, remember, Jezebel passed the baton. So they know what the Jezebel case study did to me. They know. Or tried to do, better yet. Okay? So they know. And I don't have to say nothing. And so they're just trying to check up on how I'm healing in the physical. Do I still have bruises here or bruises there? Oh, a lot of them already gone. But are we still waddling when we walk? Things like that. I know what they're looking for. I know what these monitor spirits are looking for. They just want to see how we doing in the physical. They want to see if, right, because that way their demon spirits will report back in the spiritual, how we doing. Because, well, the more we bounce back, the more the ones responsible for what they tried to do, the more the devil will punish them. God already turned them over to a reprobate mind. He ain't got to do nothing else. But if y'all don't think the devil won't punish his own when they fail, you better think again, because he sure does. I mean, these narcissists are all about punishment for no reason. But yeah. So whenever a monitoring spirit typically is going to be a Jezebel. So whenever they come across our path, they want to see how we're doing. They want to see what we're up to. They want to see if whatever it is a narcissist tried to do worked. And when they find out that it didn't, they report back. Right. And so the devil's going to punish the ones responsible. The ones who failed. Yeah, it's not just demonic demotion that happens to them. So like the Jezebel case study, she went from psychopath back to sociopath. But she also gonna get, Yeah. She's going to be even more tormented by her own demon spirits. We keep showing up. Because chosen ones are resilient. And God. Remember, the Lord said in Jeremiah 30, verse 17, He says, I will restore your health. I'm paraphrasing, but take a look at that. Shall we? Let's take a look at it. Because it's so important to understand, okay? That, and I know people are like, wait, but that's in the Old Testament. It don't matter. The Old Testament's full of lessons as well. You got to remember that, okay? Remember that. And so Jeremiah, there we go. Chapter 30, verse 17, the Lord says, for I will restore health unto thee, and I will heal thee of thy wounds, saith the Lord. Because they called thee an outcast, saying, this is Zion, whom no man seeketh after. Right there. Okay? That's what's happening. Yours truly. And I'm not the only one walking and living testimony to that verse right there. The Lord is healing thy wounds. Glory be to God. Glory be to God. So, y'all got to remember that. So, if you see monitoring spirits, just know that that tells you that there's a narcissist that pulled some kind of stunt or shenanigan. You caught on to it. It didn't faze you. It didn't get you to step out of character. So, they got to send the monitoring spirit. Remember, because, again, the devil's not omnipresent. So, we got to send the monitoring spirit to check in on you. Yeah. Got to check in on you. Check and see how you doing. And that's why I know that sometimes Jezebel check in on these live streams just to see how we're doing. And then as soon as I raise my arms or something like that, and then they see whatever it is they think they're looking for, they pop on back out. And a lot of times they'll stick around for like the first 40 minutes or so to see if my circulation gets hindered. Yeah. Well, I caught on to that pattern, a while back, about how long during that season when I was still discovering some things, like, okay, hold on a minute, that didn't feel quite right over there. What's going on with that leg? Okay, there's that bruise. Okay. So during that season, it was a season of discovery, discovering bruises. I started to pick up on the pattern of 40 minutes. About 40 minutes it would take as I was sitting down, or if I was just standing in kind of in one spot, how long it would take for my circulation to slow down a little bit. And it would take about 40 minutes on average. And so a lot of times I caught that they were tuning in for at least the first 40 minutes and then popping out. And then they were popping back in at like 45 minutes, popping back out. Then, just because they want to see if my speech is slowing down. They want to see if my circulation. They can tell by the speech. They can tell by the eyes. They can tell by the movement. They can tell, a number of ways. But when they see that it's not working anymore and that we're good, that we can sit here and we can live stream for almost 2 hours, 3 hours. Well, that depends on how long the battery will last in the device. I think on average, we made it to almost 2 hours just on a full charge on this phone. So, but you know what I'm talking about. All right, you get my drift. So we're good now. We have surpassed that. We have overcome that. The Lord has healed us from that. So they're not popping in quite as much these days, because once that part is healed, that's it. Because we're taking the necessary step, eating healthier, combating radio frequencies. We're getting muscle food back in us. We are focused on that. We're focused on things like leafy greens, and we are focused on things like, your creatine, just your essential vitamins and nutrients things, berries, granola, things like that, fruits and veggies and all of that. So we're focused on that. And of course, animal protein, absolutely. Protein powder is fine and nice, but we still need animal protein. And so we're on that too. And just basically overall managing our sodium intake big time in this season. We are really managing it. So that's helping a lot. And not only that, but yeah, Isaiah 60:22 in action, where God hastening some things on his time also. Never forget that God is the only promise keeper we have. So I wanted to give y'all that message. So we covered the word blue, and quick recap that the letter B, we came up with big. The letter L, live. The letter U, unite, because narcissists will do that. And then the letter E for evil. So big lies unite evil. That's right. That crowd on that wide path to destruction. That's right. Following the crowd. That's what narcissists do. So, chosen one, we don't. We stay on the narrow path. I got to remind somebody of that. Stay on the narrow path. Stay on the narrow path. Because once you see what's out here and you see the evil all around you and you identify these narcissists, it's like, why do we even want to be around them? It gets to that point. You're like, wow, we just can't. No. We want nothing to do with them because God tells us not to be partakers with them. So we have to learn and test the spirit by the spirit. Sometimes it might take a few go-rounds before you're able to identify a narcissist, or properly identify one. And even if they may say something correct, or they may say something that is of truth, remember, they love them truths mixed with lies. So be mindful of that. But it's their action, their attitudes. Remember, if anyone gets angry, if you will, or just gets an attitude with you for asking a genuine question, that would be a narcissist, because they don't like to be asked questions. They don't like to be asked for clarification because they can't clarify. And they don't like questions because they can't answer it. They don't know. And it bugs them because of their ego when they don't know something. They can't handle it. So remember that. Okay? So if you've got a genuine question, be it about the Bible, about God, about the evil of this world, anything, your spiritual growth, trauma healing, don't hesitate to reach out. We're going to get you an answer. Absolutely. We're not going to leave you hanging. In this ministry, you're allowed to ask questions. And no, the only question that I would consider, okay, yes, there is such a thing as dumb question, and narcissists will do that, but they're just playing head games when they ask dumb questions. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, for example, I remember when I first started going live, and I'll have a narcissist here and there to pop in and say, hey, is this live? I learned not to respond. It took a couple of times, but I said, wait a minute. They know darn well it's a live stream. They coming in asking that dumb question because it said live, right? When they come across it in the YouTube feed, it said live right there, blinking live, and come on into the chat and ask, hey, is this live? Now, I do know we've had some fellow chosen one who joined later on after we've gone live for a little while, and they're like, oh, hey, but what they'll do is they'll wait to see if it is they won't ask if it's a live. They'll say, oh, finally, got it while it's still an actual live, something like that, rather than catching it on the replay, because I believe on the replay, it still has that little live down there, so don't be confused by that, okay? It's I've noticed it. It's all good, though, okay, y'all? But keep it moving forward, like you dropped in the comment, and you can drop it in the comments on the replay as well. Keep it moving. That's what we got to do. We just got to keep it moving. Let God switch it up a bit and be ready. Always. Once he gets us ready, we're going to stay ready. And that includes staying ready mentally too. Oh, yeah. Okay, because when we utilize the 5 P's, it starts here. Because we've got to plan. And that's part of how we stay ready. We got to plan. We got to prepare. We got to produce. We got to position. Then we got to promote. That's why we got the 5 P's coaching course at CHAAcademyBTBW.com. That link is in the description below for quicker access, and that link is going to take you to how the trauma bond is formed. You want to click on all courses, and then you'll find the 5 P's coaching course and the other courses. Take a look, take a look, take a look. We got something for everybody, and we got more coming. So keep it moving. Sending love and light to all fellow warriors. Thank you for watching, listening, and for your continued support. Till next time, let's show some gratitude to the Heavenly Father, and you keep being you. In Jesus' name, amen.